Jon Machota sitting down with us here in Indianapolis, brought to you by Yorgi Pet Care Connectors for your combine coverage on DFW Sports Station. Tomorrow, Brian Schottenheimer and Christian Parker. What newsworthy things have you found the most interesting out here so far, Cowboy-wise? And Steven's talked multiple times. He already transcribed our Will McClay interview.
Yes, sir.
Is Jerry going to talk? ... What's jumped out to you so far?
So I know from a national perspective, everything's George Pickens related. None of this has surprised me with him. Like, I think there's a good chance he plays under the tag. I just know how the Cowboys operate. And so that's the biggest one to everybody else. To me, since I've been out here, is that there's
You think he would play under it, though? Show up and be
maybe not
better?
For all the offseason stuff, but I think when the games show up and
Week
all that.
one?
Yeah.
So he wouldn't wait until whatever the cutoff is.
It's such a bad look for him with his reputation.
Yeah, and I do really think he genuinely likes the guys in the locker room, particularly Dak and CD and those guys. I don't think he'd want to hold out for games. Now, we might not see him at training camp or some of the offseason program.
What was he like behind the scenes? There's a whole... Tell him what Clayton Adams said, Bob, with us.
Listen.
Oh, wait, never mind. You were probably transcribed it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Clayton being like Sean saying, we're always trying to figure out George Pickens, and Clayton, he goes, yeah, me too.
So what is
but
that?
See, I love that. So, I love that Clayton will say stuff like that. Like, he's great with us, too. But then I also like when Shotty will mention things like just randomly during the middle of the season. He's talking about George. He's like, is he at every meeting on time? Not necessarily. I don't want that going away. I like them being candid about things like that. So,
but I want you to put in, what are they talking about with George behind the scenes covering him? Like, personality-wise, or what was it like for you to deal with him? What did you find him to be? Can you understand some of the personality confusion that we're always trying to figure out or apply to giving him 30-plus mil?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing about him is that he is not like Micah in a sense of, they're both superstar players. Yes, they have the same agent. People are going to compare their situations, going into this season to what Micah had last year. But like George does media because he has to do media. He's not going to really sit at his locker and hang out and do a bunch of stuff like that. Whereas Micah enjoyed that, So I don't know if that personality means that George won't be at a preseason game laying on a training table. I doubt that. It just doesn't seem like him. It doesn't seem like Brandon Aubrey either, but it's more of he just keeps to himself, kind of does his own thing, isn't really trying to, I don't know, I think the thing is with wide receivers, a lot of people think that they just always want all the attention on them. And I do think George wants the attention on him on Sundays, but I'd never have gotten the feeling behind the scenes this past year that he needs the attention constantly. He seems like he kind of moves on his own and doesn't really care about that stuff. But on Sundays, I think it's almost like a different person comes out because of, the football player that he is.
Would you have any hesitation in paying him if it was not 40, but...
I wouldn't pay him 40, but I would put him in the top, whatever it is, top 5 or 6 wide receivers, if in that neighborhood of, CD's up in the top, 2, 3. I wouldn't give him 40, but I would pay him, yeah.
Who do you think was maybe unfair one year of covering him? Better in the locker room, better locker room presence or teammate presence between Micah and George? Because I think the initial, we always were like, Micah, next leader.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of like, okay, hearing different things. George is... maybe problem child behind the scenes sometimes, but then everyone's talking about loving him so much. So who would you answer?
I could see Micah being more of the leader type because I think that's in his DNA. I don't think that George cares about that much. Yeah. I think he wants to, do his job, play well, and that's it. I don't think he cares about all the extra stuff that comes with it. Yeah. And so that's just, I've been thinking about that a lot because that's been a big storyline of it's David Mulugeta represents him, he represents Micah. Let's not act like David Mulugeta was constantly stirring stuff up in the media. David is great about staying behind the scenes. He doesn't really do a lot of that stuff. We didn't really even hear from him at all until it was over. Yeah. And then he talked to you guys, and then he talked to...
Maybe Jerry not remembering his name made him blow up.
You know what's funny about that? Okay, so after that happened at that pre-training press conference or whatever like that, myself and 3 or 4 other reporters went walking with Jerry around the fence area that kind of goes back to where his office is there, and Christy Scales was asking him about the landman thing.
Yep.
And he couldn't remember John Hamm's name. And then I think Christy might have mentioned it. And he even said to us, he goes, exactly. Like, I couldn't remember his name. That's nothing against Micah or anything like that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't remember his name at the time.
Moment.
Yeah, right. 100%. So I think that factored in a little bit on that one. But I just think that there's a difference in personalities that people think that just because David Mulugeta represents one, that the other guy is going to be the exact same way. Like, that's not the case. And I know that people might disagree with me, but I don't think that if Micah does all the laying on the table and doing some of the stuff at training camp, I do think Micah Parsons is still a Dallas Cowboy. I think it got to the point where Jerry was like, all right, we're not doing this anymore. He wants out of here. Like, that's fine. This isn't going to be a huge show all season long because I'm the show, because that's the way that Jerry looks at it.
Jon Machota joining us here on 105 The Fan. All right. So two things on that. First, since you just mentioned the name thing, I'm curious. If you gave Jerry a sheet of all the people in the press conference area, usually all the media, how many names do you think he's able to correctly identify based on looking at the faces?
That covered the team?
Yeah. One or two?
One or two, yeah.
Well, Clarence for sure.
Clarence, and then
Todd.
Probably Clarence, Todd, maybe Calvin.
Warder.
Definitely would have David
Warder.
Moore. Yeah, Ed Warder. Yep,
Warder.
absolutely. Tim Kalishaw.
Kalishaw.
Yeah, he knows all them.
Calvin?
Calvin,
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah,
I think probably.
So.
I don't know
been
for sure.
But not you, right?
No.
That's what we try to tell people when they say we're on the fix and Jerry and them give us the information to relay to smear such and such a negotiation. I'm like, I can't stress this enough. And it hurts me. Jerry walk in here and not come up and be like,
you know how nice it would be.
No way.
Do you know how nice it would be to be on the take, to have a nice Jerry check in my pocket?
Great.
I'd love it. I'd love
But
to.
tell people that are listening that is true. Like, Jerry doesn't know. You've been covering the team for a long time.
If you were here in the 90s, he doesn't know who you are.
Yeah, now he would look at your name and know.
Yeah.
But he's not going to walk up to you and be like, John.
Yeah, no.
Right?
And because Mike Fisher, he would know too, absolutely. Because you go back to the 90s. Yeah.
He was like.
Yeah.
We talked about this the other day, right? Like, it was athletes and media.
I'm going to do what I can to get him to forget Fisher after yesterday. I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, they just did because, social media wasn't around. They weren't as protected.
Yeah.
And, there was a time where media members, you go back to, 1970s baseball, media members are making basically the same amount of money as the baseball players.
So I'm sorry, I derailed you because you were saying nationally it's George Pickens, but other things that have caught your attention out here.
For me, it's the J. Devian Clowney. I mean, he was on your guys. Steven was on your guys' station in late December, and was talking about absolutely we want J. Devian back, and it makes total sense that this is a team that needs edge rushers. He was clearly your best one, most productive one a year ago, but then now, obviously, in late December, he doesn't know Christian Parker is going to be the next DC, and that they're going to be making the changes that they are, and so just the way that Steven has talked out here, you can tell that. I'm not saying that the door is completely shut, but it's nowhere near what it was in December, where when that season ended, especially that last game he had up in New York, I'm like, oh, this guy's coming back for sure.
Yeah.
Is that a good example right there of the influence over offseason moves that Christian Parker's likely to have? Is the fact that he caused such a public seeming switch from the Joneses on that topic?
For sure, but I will say that let's see what they do in free agency, because I do think there's still a chance that it's just some names that but it's not like some big break the bank type addition, like a Brandon Carr type thing like that. And if you go back to 2020 under Mike Nolan, I mean, they did go after Gerald McCoy and Don Terry Poe, and everyone, you can laugh at that now because none of them worked out. But at the time,
they signed a decent amount of players.
There was a lot of talk of, wow, Don Terry Poe, they don't even go after guys at this size in the middle of the defense. That's not what Rod Marinelli was doing at all. So now, granted, it didn't work out, and so whatever. Now, they also at that time did not have 2 top 20 picks that I fully expect will be spent on defense. And so that changes things, no question about it. But no, you're right. I mean, the Christian Parker influence is certainly there, no doubt.
What prospects are you familiarizing yourself with out here that you think could be on their radar? What have you heard, or what are you thinking about their thoughts and targets?
What's funny is listening to you guys talk to Will McClay. This is just some extreme reading between the lines. I'm not putting anything in anything Will said, but
Listen up, Josh Clark.
But I'm interested in the idea of when he was talking about traits and how like some of the stuff that might get wrong in like the mocks when you asked him about it. You know who kind of jumped out to me, and you would know this maybe better than I do, is the Mansour Delane, where he's super high in all these mocks, but it's like the Cowboys traditionally have been like, hey, we're using a top pick on a corner. We need this guy to be over 6 foot. We need him over the 32-inch arms, like all that stuff. And he was the first guy I thought of when Will said, I'm like, ooh, maybe he doesn't fit, like, because everybody is like, corner is such a premium position in every draft. There's never going to be a draft class where like, yeah, no corners in the first round, so someone has to be up there. And obviously the kid from Tennessee has the knee issue, and it's, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're just like, are we really doing another knee issue?
Yeah.
Possibly, like, where is he at? What are the medicals and things like that? So, yeah, I would say those guys, I think, make a lot of sense because they need at least one more corner, starting caliber corner.
Who's a guy or two that you love with all your college football?
Oh, the Ohio State guys. You know, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, obviously Arvell Reese. Like, if any of them could possibly get there.
Which one of those three, if you said I can put them on the Cowboys next year, do you think makes the biggest difference for their defense?
Probably Reese, Arvell Reese, but I will say for me it would be Caleb Downs.
I love Downs.
I think he makes a big impact, and especially because you have this new defensive coordinator that I think would use him in a variety of ways, and then also just selfishly, like, I mean, I just haven't really covered like a top safety, like elite safety in Dallas. It just has been so long, so I was never here for.
Yeah, when was Jaron Kearse left 3 years ago? Look at the face he made. He hates when I go to the bits like that. He doesn't like it.
I mean, they're good players. I'm saying like elite. Like Caleb Downs has the chance to be like.
Caleb Downs could be
says Roy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Derwin James guy, and you know, I know that they were big on Leighton, and even if I really do believe even with Leighton, if Derwin was there, I still think they'd take Leighton Vander Esch that year. But I love Derwin James. I've always wanted them to get like a safety and that. So for me, it'd be Caleb Downs. But I think with how badly they need pass rushing help, I think Arvell Reese. But I don't see any way any of those three make it to 12.
You weren't in San Francisco.
No, I don't think any of them will fall to 12.
You weren't at the Super Bowl, right?
No.
Okay. Because while we were leaving at like 3 a.m. for that West Coast start time, your boy Derwin, he was the one coming back into the hotel.
He was the last one walking in.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I was like, don't you have the Pro Bowl today? And I was like, oh, yeah, it is the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, we had
Flag football game.
There were a lot of people walking in and out at 3 a.m. that were different than us. All right, Brandon Aubrey. Do you walk away? Do you think they should walk away, or are you wrong?
I would walk away if it's really $10 million.
If it's 7, if it's highest paid in the league.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I can do that.
What about 8?
I probably would do 8, and that's probably where I would end it at, though.
And if you know you can get a second rounder for him, which one would you prefer?
I mean, what am I doing with that second? Am I getting another Calvin Joseph?
No, I'm not giving you the player.
Sam Williams.
I'm not giving you the player.
I mean, I'm just telling you who are all these great second-round picks. I'm joking. I'm joking.
You got a 40% chance of hitting. You got a 40% chance of hitting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in that second-round pick for sure, but I just think that there is a part. I can understand the idea of what he does for your offense, where you only need to get to midfield in certain situations. But I'm open to the argument, too, that if you're going to give whatever it would be, $120 million, $130 million to your 2 top receivers and your quarterback, well, maybe they should get closer, and you shouldn't have to worry about the field goal kicker from 80. But I understand if he's going to get $7 or $8 million, but that $9, $10 million, I think that's kind of a little bit much. I mean, how often do the top kickers stay as the top kicker? You know, that's the part where, you know, you think of Harrison Butker, you think of what's his name in Philadelphia?
Jake Elliott.
Yeah, Jake Elliott. I mean, Howie Roseman was just being asked about him the other day, and I feel like he's one of the higher paid and has been for a little bit. Like, how often do those? I know you love Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah, he's so good.
How they stay that high on the list, you know? So
I wouldn't pay Vinatieri either. So.
Jon Machota from The Athletic right here on 105.3 The Fan. Always puts up the huge YouTube numbers. I told Archer that yesterday. I was like, man, Todd, you put up a lot of good YouTube numbers for us. And he goes, well, then y'all should be paying me.
Yeah. I mean, I think I told you when I was in the studio that last time that, like, I would rather talk sports than write about sports.
Yeah.
I write about sports because it's helped me get the job that I have, but I enjoy talking more than I do writing.
But then on Wednesday, December 10th at 4:01 p.m., I said, hey, 7:20 or 8 tomorrow. You said, I appreciate it. I'm just not going to be able to make that work.
Yeah. I don't know what I had going on that night.
You didn't love it that much.
Yeah.
Probably some D4.
He was sleeping.
Some D2 volleyball game.
Yeah, probably.
Thank you, John. Keep crushing.